Welcome to another AMA with Kadena Ecosystem. In this episode, we'll be speaking with the team from Boxing Badger. This conversation was recorded on August 25th, 2023, live on Twitter Spaces. The views and expressions in this AMA do not represent the views of Kadena Ecosystem directly and are not to be considered as financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research on the projects presented. Also, make sure to subscribe to our account to be alerted of new uploads. Now let's get started. Enjoy. Welcome everybody to another AMA with Kadena Ecosystem. Today we have back with us Boxing Badger. They are building a very cool boxing game using NFTs and the Kadena blockchain. So welcome back. Good to have you back with us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start off with the basics, just in case this is the first time somebody might be hearing about Boxing Badger. What exactly is Boxing Badger all about, and what are you building over there?
Yeah, Boxing Badger aims to be a mobile-first boxing game in the style of PunchOut, which is like an old-school NES game where you just box against an opponent, but it's kind of like 2D but in a 3D type view. And what was great about it, it was just easy to play, hard to master, and obviously you're playing against the computer at that point, but the idea is to bring that kind of competitiveness to fight against other Badgers. So the game will be surrounding competition. We'll have some campaign modes, we'll have tournaments, ladder boards, things like that. So it will be a nice competitive play-to-earn platform.
Now, today, for those who haven't seen it, I've pinned the tweet at the top of the space here. You've released your first animations to kind of give people a sneak peek of what this is going to look like in game. Do you maybe want to go through and explain? I know we were talking about it earlier when we started, but go through your process from when you first had the idea to now releasing this animation and what kind of things you had to go through just to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long ride. It was my first endeavor of making NFTs, so I teamed up with an artist to create the idea of the Badgers. We released those out, did my first sale. That was exciting with Isoko, great team. And then after that, started thinking more about the game and direction to take. And initially, I was going to go with a 3D model and kind of turn that into 2D and use that. And I kind of teased that in our Discord and I think on Twitter as well. But it just it wasn't working out, and I felt it would be better to have 100% likeness to the NFT. So I decided to go that route. And as you can see from the animation, it's exactly like your NFT. So I went that route. I tried a few freelancers to animate. I wasn't happy with the results, and I was also running out of budget. My wife was on maternity, and her maternity pay stopped. So money was tight, had to take on a contract. And then once that was done, I got back into learning animations. And I just was able to showcase the first animation, which is essentially an idle animation that rotates into other different idle animations. So like the eye blinking and the glove taps. We'll have more in the future, but I think this is a good start. And I'm actually currently working on the dodge right now. And it's been an interesting experience, and it's been fun to learn.
Well, for anyone who's ever played PunchOut or seen video of it, it was, as soon as I saw the animation, I was like, that is like spot on PunchOut.
Yeah.
Because like when the guy first moves in, that's what he's doing. He's standing there, he's kind of bobbing back and forth. He may punch his gloves together, stuff like that. So you definitely nailed it when it comes to that. And really, like if you go and watch any footage or even play PunchOut, there's only so many animations, and it's just kind of a combination of those kind of base animations that you have to, once you nail those down, then it's just a matter of programming of, opponent does this, so trigger this animation. Opponent does that, trigger this animation. So, you just got to build up that repertoire. Now, for people who are interested in this kind of thing, like you said, you're teaching yourself how to do this. What kind of programs and stuff are you using for these animations? Because maybe some people out there are listening and thinking, I want to do something like this, and they may be curious as to what exactly you're using to build these things.
Yeah, well, I did some research, and there's better animation software than what I'm using. I'm actually using the game engine itself, Godot 4. It has animations inside the engine itself. But I mean, if you want to do animations, I heard a lot of good things, and I've seen a lot of good things with Spine 2D and Dragon Bones. But I decided to go straight into the engine. There's a few caveats in that things kind of, it's a bit quirky. So yeah, it's a bit more challenging, but I think there's benefit to have it straight in the engine. But if there's any animators out there that would like to talk about it, that'd be cool, because I'm kind of on this lone journey and figure things out as I can. So if there's any animators that would like to discuss and kind of see how they're animating and stuff like that, that'd be cool. I know KFC has a good animator, but I haven't reached out.
Yeah, they have a really good animator. You never know, someone might hear this AMA today and reach out and be like, hey, I like what you're doing and I'd like to help you make it even better. So that'd be really cool. Have you started any kind of drafts on possible backgrounds and stuff like that of what like the ring would look like and things like that? Because it'd be kind of cool. I'm just going to throw a suggestion out there, is if you can see the canvas of the ring, like you'd only see probably about half or maybe even just a third of the canvas from the point of view of the player, but maybe use that as a way to promote other projects and have like project logos and stuff, kind of like the way the UFC has the different logos of their promotional things on their actual app. Have you put any thought into what your background and stuff for the game going to be?
Not as of yet. We do have a boxing ring background on one of the NFTs. I might revisit that stylistically, but I don't believe there's much of an audience in that background. So for sure, we'd have to have a nice ring. Of course, it would be cool to plaster it with other projects on the mat or on the side post. But yeah, we'll have like a ring with lighting, and I like to have some audience animations and audio in the background as well. I want it to feel like you're in the ring, so there should be, the audience and maybe lights flickering, and it should feel grand. So yeah, it's in the plans, but I haven't come up with anything yet.
Have to go snag that sound clip of Joe Rogan from the UFC going, "Oh!" for like when the knockouts happen. That'd be
great.
Perfect. That'd be the perfect sound bite for that right there.
Yeah, let me think a note of that.
Down. It'd also be cool if you're going to have audience members, if you could do likenesses of like, have Stuart Popejoy in the back watching and like have Will and Tyler and all of them kind of sitting in the background watching. That would be super cool to see, just throwing, ideas out there. Because, whenever I see these kind of games, I come from a long gaming background, starting right back with the original NES. And I remember owning PunchOut for NES when I was a kid. And remember seeing like the backgrounds were pretty much just like kind of silhouettes of people. There wasn't actual really people in the original games, but having like some kind of animation or something like that, or even if they're just stagnant pictures of people, would really just add more value to the game and just add more kind of realism and also more homage and depth to the game as well. And I'm sure a lot of people would be like, "That's amazing, that's awesome." Because just you might just bring in people just for that. So let's go back to the NFTs themselves. So you are already in your mint phase. It looks like you guys are doing fairly decent. We're obviously in a market right now where a lot of people aren't willing to part with their KDA, even though like for things like this where it actually has a cool utility. To right now is the perfect time to be snagging up these NFTs because they're literally half price pretty much from when you first started minting. So
especially if you're bringing in from US dollar, it's the best time to buy some KDA.
Exactly. So you're doing all right though, considering the market that we've been in. Like you kind of went live with your mint at right at the start of where things really started to go down in KDA, but you're at 355 of your 2,600. So that's, in this market, that's very respectable. So you obviously have people that are interested in the NFTs and are wanting to get their hands on the NFTs. So it's very good to see where that's going. Have you put any ideas into, are you planning on keeping the limit at 2,600, or have you made any choices to possibly make some changes to the size, anything like that?
Currently, no. I think 2600 is enough to get going. And also for this mint, actually, I guess I'll make the announcement now, because the idea was for the sales of the mint to be split between dev and price pool, and it was like a 90-10 split or something. So I think at this point, with this collection, it's going to go 100% to the price pool. So hopefully that'll incentivize people to mint more. But yeah, 100% is going to go back to the community through price pool.
Now, for those who may not have heard any of our previous AMAs or done their research into Boxing Badger, can you maybe explain what the prize pool is and what that means and how people are going to be able to actually kind of win prizes?
Yeah, so for play to earn, for users and players to receive Kadena, it has to come from somewhere. So it's all rewards are going to come from a prize pool. And we're going to have different mechanisms to make sure that prize pool stays full. And prizes will be given away in different ways. We'll have leaderboards. So periodically, awards will be given to top people on the leaderboards. There'll be different types of leaderboards, PvP, seasonal stuff, guild stuff. And then, of course, there'll be tournaments. And depending on the status of the prize pool, we'll either directly give, we'll have free entry for tournaments and give straight from the prize pool, or if we need more money in the prize pool, we'll have like, a ticket entry into prize pools as well. So the idea is to build an ecosystem where the prize pool is always fed. And I think by just putting all our initial sales into prize pool, we'll have a good start.
Now, I believe you've kind of already been building your prize pool and have kind of a coffer of NFTs that from projects that you've been following and you've been liking. So, you got to start somewhere, obviously. So people can win NFTs, stuff like that. You've also are holding back some of your own NFTs for that exact purpose, but you said like you might be moving towards changing that. I still believe, keeping 100 of your NFTs in the background for those kind of purposes would be great, because people, it would be nice, some people will mint one or up to like a couple of them or something like that. So you'll have different characters to be able to play. Now, a little bit more about these characters and these NFTs. Are they going to be different in the sense that, some characters will have stronger punches, some characters will be faster than others? Is there any kind of breakdown in kind of the skill levels of the NFT characters themselves?
Yeah, so we have 3 different body types, and each body type will have advantages and disadvantages. The skinny body type will have increased dodge rate, increased speed, stamina, it'll have increased elemental resistance, and it'll have a smaller hitbox. But it'll also it'll have reduced damage, reduced physical resistance, so you won't hit as hard, but it'll be faster, and it'll have less HP. So there's advantages and disadvantages. So like the muscular guy will hit harder, but he'll be slower. And the regular guy will be decent overall. It'll be kind of the middle point in terms of that. On top of that, we have stats. So when you mint your NFT, you'll get, I believe, 2 stats from a pool of a few stats. And some of those are, increased HP, regen, stamina, dodge, resistance, speed. So between the stats you get on your NFT and the body types, and also the gloves, and each type of glove has different damage types, damage over time, or direct burst, or different effects. So between those 3 things, there's a lot of variation that you can have, and it should all balance out, and it'll keep the game competitive. So there shouldn't be one overpowered NFT or combination. The combination will be good depending on who you're playing against, but a lot of it's going to be based on your skill as the player.
One thing that just piqued my interest when you were explaining that was elemental damage. That's not something I'd think of when I think of boxing.
Boxing, yeah.
Can you maybe explain what you mean a little bit more when you say elemental damage?
Yeah, so we have different glove types. We have regular gloves that come in a variety of colors, but then we have like special gloves. Let me just pull it up. We have 4. Actually, no, we have 6. different types of gloves. One of them is poison glove. One's fire. We have ice. We have lightning. We have the famous honey badger gloves, which are drenched in honey. And we have spiky bloody gloves. And they all do different things. Some will do elemental damage, like poison, fire, ice, lightning. They'll do elemental damage. And the honey gloves and the bloody gloves will do physical damage. But like the bloody gloves will do bleed damage over time. The honey gloves will slow the enemy down. The ice gloves will have a chance to freeze the enemies for a short period. The lightning gloves will have a chance to stun enemies. Fire gloves will do burn damage over time, and poison gloves will do poison damage over time. So yeah, so there's different glove types, and you might roll a stat that's gives you increased elemental resistance. So if you're going up against someone who has these gloves, you might be able to resist more damage. And then vice versa with physical damage, you might get a physical damage roll, and if you fight someone with physical damage gloves, you'll have a bit of a slight advantage there.
Well, that sounds definitely different from what you see in most boxing games and things like that. I do like the idea of having like poison gloves, things like that. That would just slowly tick. Once you hit them with the gloves, it kind of slowly ticks away their HP.
Yeah.
Kind of puts a little bit of pressure on them to try to knock you out as fast as possible.
Yeah, so, and it's kind of hard to predict the damage at that point when you have these dots, especially if they stack. So it's like your health will surprisingly go down at different rates. So it's kind of hard to, I guess you have to play smarter at that point. But they'll do the same damage as physical gloves, but it'll just be staggered.
Now, of course, this game is going to have different modes, like you said. Obviously, I'm assuming the first mode that the game will be released with is just a basic campaign mode. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we'll start off with a campaign mode. And the idea with the campaign mode is just to kind of test your skill level. And you'll be fighting against AI. The AI will get harder and harder. So there's a bunch of things we could do with that. We could have like seasonal points depending on how far in the campaign you are. We could create campaign bosses and have points with that and have a leaderboard for that. We could also have tournaments based on where you are in the campaign. So if someone can't get past a certain level, maybe they shouldn't compete with someone who's at the max level. So the campaign is there to have fun, increase your skills, and we'll have other mechanics based on the campaigns. But the real play to earn stuff will be with the seasons, the PvP, the guild fights, tournaments, and stuff. But yeah, we like to go with campaign and then get to PvP as soon as we could.
Now, will this be kind of comparing again to PunchOut? Will the characters that you'll be going up against in the campaign be kind of in the same sense of like you start off playing against kind of like the skinny guy who's not very good at boxing, and then work your way up through like kind of like they had like a Butterbean type character where he's really big and he punches really hard, but he's really slow. And then, of course, getting up to the top boss, which is kind of like a Mike Tyson type character. Is that kind of going to be the same kind of progression you're thinking?
Yeah, in terms of difficulty, yes. In terms of animation and types of opponents, that'll depend on time. I think initially we'll just have different variations of boxing badgers, but depending on time, like the more time we put into it, the cooler stuff we're going to throw in. So we love to throw in opponents that are coming from different projects. Maybe a koala, boxing koala, or a boxing gnome, something like that. So we definitely like to do eventually project synergies where you get some characters from the eco in the game as well. That'd be super cool.
A boxing koala, I feel, would be fairly simple to do because you just literally have to replace the head on your
the body
type
badger. Kind of similar, yeah. Maybe a puffier tail.
Yeah. Well, definitely, if you want to be doing something like that, let us know, and we'll definitely help with the graphics and maybe graphics guy to do up more of a realistic-y looking logo as opposed to just our basic koala head logo. So, it'd be very. I know we'd be very cool to see something like that in a video game, or even just in NFTs, or in that different style that you guys are doing for your art. So it'd be very cool to see that for sure. Yeah. Now, going through other modes, you're looking at P. Now, does this mean that people the game itself, is it going to be a web browser type game? Is it going to be so that people are going to be able to play that way? How are people going to be able to connect with each other to be able to play PvP? How do you see that working?
Well, the game will be mobile, Android and iOS first. I think from a portability and competitive level, it'd be fun on a phone. In terms of PvP, it won't be real time because it's very difficult to achieve real time combat, especially in a game that's like boxing where every millisecond counts. So when we do PvP in tournaments, you'll be facing off with your opponent, but the opponent will be using a certain level of AI that'll be challenging enough. But we'll tweak the level, but I mean it'll be a challenge. So when you do a PvP tournament or a tournament in general, you'll probably be facing off against the AI, and whoever wins the most of the two face-offs will get the win for that ladder. So it won't be real time, but it'll still be very challenging, and you'll see the opponent's character.
So it would be more kind of turn-based than real time.
Well, it'll be real time AI, so it won't be turn-based, but it'll be like you're playing the campaign mode, but it'll be a certain difficulty, and you'll be playing against your opponent, the other person in the tournament or PvP season. So if you have an NFT and I'm going against you, I'll be fighting against your NFT, except when I'm fighting you, you'll be an AI, and when you're fighting me, I'll be an AI.
Awesome. So, and it's going to, reading through this, it's going to have, you're looking at making seasons so that people can then, whoever has like the most wins at the end of the season, you plan on having is that another use case for your prize pool where at the end of the season, whoever is the leaders will be able to win a prize for that season? And are you going to have at the end of sports, how they have, the World Cup and all of that kind of thing, a final kind of tournament of the winners at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think the idea of like a big yearly tournament is what I'd be going for, because I'm a big fan of a game like MOBA like Dota, which is like 5v5 competitive game, but they do yearly tournaments and the prize pools every year have increased like crazy. So I would like to take that route for tournaments. Maybe we could have smaller tournaments throughout the year, but there should be like an epic tournament every year, and I want that to pick up steam, and those will have the biggest rewards for sure.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. It sounds like something that can definitely draw people in and keep them wanting to play, so that when the season ends, that they'll have a chance to participate in the big tournament at the end and win themselves some cool prizes. Because that's really, when it comes to games like this, it's you got to find ways to keep people entertained and keep them wanting to come back and continue playing over and over. So yeah, giving them that incentive, knowing that if you rack up the most wins against everyone else that's playing, that you're going to have a good chance at taking home the cup or whatever you may say.
Yeah, exactly. But the tournaments will be more like ladder style, right? So like your classic tournament where there's only two opponents in the end. And in the future, I would love to add an audience to it where people want to see the fights and all that. So we could somehow find a way to stream the fights. That would be super cool. And then get the audience involved. Like in Dota, people who are not even in the tournaments, they buy tickets to watch the fight. So it would be very cool if we get to that level where the audience would want to chip in to give a bigger prize pool for the players. That would be amazing. But yeah, getting it somehow to stream would be super cool.
Now, one of the other kind of modes that I see on, I'm getting for people who don't know, and I'm getting kind of all this information. Boxing Badger has a really good wiki that you guys have built. Lays out all your information of the style of the game, the mechanics, and the different modes. So if anyone listening wants to go check that out, it's wiki.boxingbadger.com. You can go check out all the information there. So one of the other modes that kind of caught my eye and kind of would probably pique the ears of some of our listeners that I see with Wizards Arena NFTs in their picture is a guild fights. Can you maybe explain a little bit about what you mean when you say guild in this sense of a boxing game?
Yeah, like most games, you should be able to form or join a guild, and once you have a team, you should be able to, like in a guild leaderboard, um, as opposed to like a PvP leaderboard where it's just about your points that you're gaining. It's basically the points of everyone in your guild, and the guild with the most points will obviously be at a higher ranking than the guild with the least points. So there'll be incentive for people to create guilds, fill them up, and keep their guilds competitive. So yeah, the more players we have, the more interesting that will be. But that's the idea.
Now, one mechanic I'm kind of curious about is, so if you're playing, say, in the campaign or even the PvP modes, and you do a match and, you've lost 3/4 of your HP, when you go into the next fight, is your character staying at that low HP? Or because one kind of example I'm going to use, and I'm not sure if you've seen this before or tried it, is the Brawler Bears game that Arcade built, where after you have your fight, if your character's lost its HP, they have those kind of like bonus items that you use to refill your HP or refill your stamina before going into the next bout. Have you thought of putting something like that into the game as like, little passive side things that you could then, sell for like 1 KDA or something like that, as just kind of another, not just another revenue stream for your prize pool, but, just a way to kind of keep people playing the game and keep them interacting?
I think that the idea is cool for a different type of, like this season will introduce this type of fighting where you have to fight 3 people in a row and your HP won't restart at the beginning of the fight. So that'd be very interesting, because then it's all about how good can you be for how long. So that'd be super cool skill wise. I don't know if I would introduce items that people have to pay for to refill their health, because then there's just a disadvantage to the person who didn't buy the item. So, but like there's other ways to monetize that I would like to monetize that would be a bit more fair for everybody. I really want the game to be all about skill as much as possible.
Well, then maybe it could be like, if you're the winner, you get one for free.
Yeah.
Kind of earn those kind of things, and or do another idea I had when I was thinking about this is, because one thing that comes along with being a boxer, of course, is training.
Yeah.
The thought of maybe having a section in the game where it's like your training gym, where you're going in and you're just punching a bag, and just that could be a way that people could go in, punch the bag a bunch, and that would refill their HP or refill their stamina. That's just another kind of simple idea, where you go in and you make it so that the bag, every time the character does a motion and punches, every time he hits the bag, he gets back, 1 HP or something like that. It was just another way to keep people in the game, keep them playing, and keep them wanting to come back and keep trying even harder. Just throwing ideas out there. You don't have to obviously, take them as you will. But
no, they're all good ideas. I'm taking down notes, so that's good. There's so much that can be done. So yeah, I'm thinking like long term. There's just so much that can be done. We're gonna start simple, but there's just the possibilities are endless, and yeah, very excited for that.
Now, one thing I ask all projects that are building any kind of game is, will there be a version where you don't have to own the NFT to be able to play the game? Possibly like I said with the CAD Cars people, releasing kind of like a demo version where it's one track with a stock car, and after you've raced that track, it locks you out and says, now buy the NFT to play the full game. Any thought of putting in just like, a very basic starter round where you get to fight with a very basic stock badger and just go in, you get to try it out, and then it kind of locks you out and links you to where you can mint an NFT? If any kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want the game to be on mobile and open to anyone to play, so anyone could come in and play with the base badger, which, if you see the animation, that's pretty much the base badger. So we could have that open for anyone to play the campaign with, but they wouldn't be able to participate in the play to earn aspects until they get an NFT. So yeah, we are planning to do that. Keep it open, keep the campaign open for anyone. And then at some point, we could just promote Kadena, promote getting an NFT on the eco, stuff like that.
Well, that'll be a good thing to do, considering one thing I know that you'll probably run into problems with is iOS. They're not very happy about anything that has to do with crypto or NFTs. We've gone into problems just with Koala Wallet of them with NFTs, of like just linking out to marketplaces, things like that. Because Apple's like, well, if you're selling NFTs, we want our cut. They're like the government. They want their tax money. They want their portion of the pie, and it's like, well, that's not exactly how this works. You can't really do that. But so yeah, having that kind of free to play version would definitely be a way to get around that and show them like, no, it's just a game.
Yeah, it's just a game. Yeah,
it's just a game. Don't worry about it. Don't look behind the curtain.
Hopefully the terms will be it'll be a bit easier in the coming years to get on there with a play to earn game. Hopefully they'll loosen up a bit. But ideally we'd like to register as an entity that can do prizes and all that. So if we could get to that point where we have the money for lawyers to deal with that, we'll go public and we'll be properly registered, and shouldn't be a problem getting on the iOS at that point. But a lot's dependent on when the bull comes, and how we could form around that. The sooner the better.
For sure. It's I'm sure like this is kind of a long-term, obviously a long-term thing that you're getting involved with, seeing how you're learning how to do the animations yourself, all that kind of stuff. And I'm really hoping that in the very near future, we're going to see a real turnaround in the ecosystem, and we'll see a whole bunch of new people coming into the space. Hopefully that once we start seeing Ethereum bridges, things like that, we'll start seeing more people coming from these bigger communities, seeing eyes on Kadena, and then digging deeper into the projects that are building. And it's just a matter right now, I believe, of those projects that are building on Kadena to keep their head down and keep working, keep showing that, they're alive, they're doing well, they're still progressing. And you guys have definitely, taken that step and done that and shown like, we're still here. Things are, we're not obviously not going as fast as most people would want you to, but you can't go by what other people think. You have to go at a
I mean, there's some teams that are full time, some teams that have a bit more free time. I mean, I would say I'm a bit of a slower compared to some other projects, but I mean, I have a family, I have 2 kids. It's been very difficult. I have a full-time job, so it's going to be amazing what I can accomplish in a bull market. Because at that point, I'll be able to do it full-time, and then we'll see the potential there.
Well, just considering that you've taken that step to learn the animation yourself by seeing that paying someone else to do this kind of work is not always the best way to go, because you have a vision for what you want your game to be, and and someone else that you're paying may not share that vision, or may not be able to conceptualize the way that you have it in your head of what you want to see, right? So just the fact that you've stepped out probably stepped out of your comfort zone to learn a whole new skill and learn something that is going to not only benefit the project, but probably benefit you. And in the long term, this way, once you learn how to do this stuff yourself in the future, if you want to make changes to things, you're going to know exactly what you need
super
to
easy.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one good thing to hear, that you're kind of doing it in the game engine itself as well, because I'm sure doing it that way, you're also learning your way around the engine itself, which is, so that way you're not learning 2 separate things. You're not learning animation software on one side and then going, okay, now how do I put this into the engine, right? You're kind of, it's all
it's all there
package.
And then in the demo I gave had some scripting in there, because the script that it was a script that kind of ran the idle animation, and then 30% of the time it'll load up a secondary or third idle animation randomly. So I got to play with the scripts a bit, got to play with the animation. Honestly, for me, the hurdle is the animation. The developing for me was probably going to be the easiest part, because I'm a Web 2 developer. I've been coding for 20 years plus. So I'm not too afraid about the coding. It's more the animations. And animations is the biggest part. So once all the animations are in, tying it all together and making it feel good with the controls is going to be the fun part and the easy part.
Yeah, it'll definitely, I think going with mobile will be a very good choice. Obviously, I'm assuming that the game will be kind of a horizontal, like turn your phone sideways kind of thing to see the full aspect. And then kind of the idea of having like the controls on the two outer corners, like the top and bottom of the phone. So yeah, no, I think that'll be amazing. One of my very first cell phones that I had that was, I guess, you'd consider would be a smartphone was called the Sony Xperia Play. And what it was you remember those phones that you ever see those phones where you slide out a keyboard or something from behind the phone?
Yeah, like the Blackberries.
Well, this one had a slide out PlayStation controller.
I remember this.
Yeah, I had that phone, and like you could actually play PlayStation 1 games on this phone. So, you know, it was very cool for mobile gaming, but mobile gaming has become something completely a whole another beast on itself nowadays, because you got games like, you know, you got Call of Duty games now that have mobile versions. So it's obvious to see that mobile gaming is taking a whole nother step.
They're looking really good. Yeah. ARPG,
yeah, they are.
Stuff like Monster Hunter, Genshin Impact. There's so much on mobile, and you know, as I get older, I have less time to do PC gaming. So, you know, I do get a lot of mobile gaming in. So, yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah, because everyone has a phone in their pocket nowadays. Not everyone has a PC that can run games like they have nowadays. Like, you know, you're looking at like the newest Call of Duty game, stuff like that. You're looking at 120 gigabytes plus of space that you're going to need. You're looking at having a minimum of like 8 gigabytes of RAM. You know, you're looking at, you know, how you have to have a decent graphics card, all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people nowadays just don't have those things at home and don't have the money to be going out and spending, you know, $1,500 to $2,000 on a computer just to be able to play their favorite game. So having a decent mobile version is going to go a long way towards mass adoption. So definitely a good choice to go. And, you know, the style of the game is very mobile fitting, I believe, as well.
I love mobile games. I just hate the direction that they try to monetize too hard, and it kind of ruins the game. And I don't find it very ethical the way some games push monetization. And, you know, there's a lot of kids playing these games. They're spending money on things that they shouldn't be. It's just, I hope we see more games that are a bit more friendly in terms of like focusing on the actual game and not monetization. I know you need money to survive and continue building, but there's a lot more friendly ways to do it that don't impact the game and your wallet as much. Like, why do you need a package that's $140 and throw it in your face all the time? Like, this, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I definitely agreed with that. There's been lots of games where I've played where I'm just like, there's no real need for this to have these pay options in them, because all it is for people who just don't have the maybe don't have the time, but just don't have the want to grind out games. You know, like I used to love grinding out games. Like that was part of the joy of playing a good game. You find a game you like and you want to grind it out so you feel like you've actually earned something in the game. And where nowadays people are just like, if I can buy it and just skip all the way to the end, you know. And it's like, well, what's the point of that? You know, you're not even playing the game at that point. You're just buying your way through it.
Well, not only that, right? They build the game to make these packages and ads more attractive. So it would be almost impossible to compete if you're not paying, and that's the problem. So it's kind of sad to see most games going that way, where it's just pay to win at that point.
Yeah, it's there's a fine line between, you know, because like you said, you still have to, you know, be generating something to be able to keep the lights on and keep the servers running and keep the game alive. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to make it look like you're gouging your players at every chance you can, just to try to get money out of them. And a lot of games take that route, and it's kind of sad. Like it shows when you see a game like that, you kind of shows that the developers could care really less about the game and are really just in it to make a bunch of money. And just put out whatever they can, a base game, and then just sit there and just let the money kind of come in. But hopefully, you guys will have better luck on your game. You're definitely, taking the proper route of, slow development, getting things done right and getting them done the way that you want them to be done, so that the original vision that you have comes through. And just building a game like a Punch-Out style type boxing game with really cool little badgers, where the tying NFTs and blockchain and stuff to that is really just, I kind of feel like it's proper. It's like kind of the natural progression of what these games should be.
Yeah, it's a nice fit for blockchain game. Just pure competitiveness and, play to earn.
Well, is there anything that we haven't covered, or any other kind of alpha that you feel like maybe dropping on the community before we go ahead and announce the winners for the free free NFT giveaway that we've been doing for the past week or two?
No, I think that's it. I mean, the big news is the, all the mint going to the prize pool. Yeah, so we're looking forward to Isoko Marketplace coming up. They tried to launch this week, but there were some issues, but it's going to get up eventually. So it'll be nice to see badgers on the marketplace. Yeah, and we're also working with Echo Wallet to get our NFTs on the wallet as well. So that should be coming shortly as well. And just generally, I'm very excited about the Kadena ecosystem and everything that's going on, all the work that you guys are doing, Eucalyptus Labs. Yeah, very excited for the future of Kadena.
Yes, definitely. Things are starting to come together. It's starting to look really good, and just all around, we're starting to see more projects starting to come back. We're starting to see some life come back into that. The projects that have stuck around are really starting to come back out of their shells and back into the world and start showing off the things that they've been working on the last few months, kind of in the background while we've been in this lull.
That's what the bear is for. Yeah,
that's right. It's like I always say, under promise and over deliver is the way to develop anything in the blockchain space.
Exactly.
All right. So for those who aren't aware, we were doing a giveaway for the past little while here for 10 free NFTs from the Boxing Badger. So while we've been chatting away here, I was lucky enough to be able to go in and do the drawings. And I do have, luckily, all the names that I noticed are people that we see quite often around space. Nice. So good to see, all definitely big Kadena people. I'll send out the tweet right now as well, just so it's out there as well. And I will announce the winners now. So one of them I know is definitely listening right now, and that is Ron from Wizards Arena.
Oh, nice.
One of the winners. Yeah, that's very big.
Congrats, Ron.
Yeah, T Shizzle, Big Drip T, Big Drip T, he's another winner. He's another big community member. We see him around all the place. Pascu Kalen, he's definitely all around the Kadena community. I see him in a lot of the different spaces that we hold and a lot of the different communities. So lots of awesome, really people here. Kadena Ireland, who does a lot of really good and posts a lot of really good content for Kadena and is definitely in a lot of the different projects. We have Asla Kabaza. I never know how to pronounce his name, but he's definitely, everyone who knows that name will definitely see him around. We also have Legons 14, another awesome member who listens to a lot of our AMAs here and is always prevalent in the space. We have one of the people listening right now as well. Hazen, you've won yourself an NFT, so congrats to you. That's very awesome. Kadena Community, who is really awesome. I know the people behind Kadena Community, and they're super helpful in their daily tweets and keeping everyone up to date on everything in the community. So if you're not following them, I highly suggest following at Kadena Community. They're a very excellent team over there. And then we got Believe in KDA. So Alex, who's always around, is big follower of a lot of the Kadena projects as well. And then we got Chantel Barnes 15, who is a huge Kadena and Flex believer. So if you heard your name,
she was a previous winner as well.
Yep. So if you've heard your name, definitely reach out to Boxing Badgers to claim your NFT, and they will hook you up. Like I said, I've also tweeted it out, so everyone that was in that list has been notified now. So just make sure you watch out when you when people start messaging you, that you double make sure that they're correct, because we always, whenever we do these giveaways, we always get people pretending to be their accounts, right?
Yeah, just send me the list and I'll follow them, because I don't think they could DM me if I don't follow them. So I'll follow.
Well,
them
it's right. It's the tweet right under the giveaway tweet. So I've already gone ahead and replied.
I'm pretty sure I'm following them all anyway. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to everyone there, and make sure you guys get in contact and get yourselves your free NFTs. So, thank you very much for coming back and keeping us up to date. You guys you're doing some amazing work over there. Your animation is spot on. It looks great. Really excited to see what comes out of this. And like I said, who knows, even if this doesn't end up working out, you've just learned yourself a valuable new skill.
Yes, and I've always wanted to get into game dev, so it's just a win-win.
Exactly. If worse comes to worse, you could just put it out as just a mobile game by itself.
Yes, but yeah.
But no, obviously, we want to keep going down the path that we're on right now.
I'll keep going down the Kadena crypto game path. That's for sure.
Obviously, awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming back. Like I said, very awesome work. Make sure everyone goes and gives Boxing Badger a follow here on Twitter. Jump in their Discord as well, so you can keep up to date on everything that's going and get some sneak peeks and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you very much for coming back. It's been great chatting with you.
It was my pleasure, and it was a great chat. And thanks everyone for joining. I think it was I had more listeners than the last one, so that was great.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Make sure, like I said, go give Boxing Badger a follow, join their Discord, get involved. Go to isoku.xyz and mint yourself a badger today, so that once the game is out, you're fully ready to go to knock out some other badgers. So make sure you guys go give them a follow, and also check out KadenaEcosystem.com for all your Kadena needs. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.
That wraps up another amazing AMA. Thank you for listening. Here at Kadena Ecosystem, we strive to bring an open platform for projects being built on Kadena to present themselves to the community. Please ensure to do your own research on the projects before investing. Also, ensure to follow us on our social media, from Twitter to subscribing to our weekly newsletter, to keep up to date on everything KDA related. You can find all the links in the description below. Take care.